One cold autumn night, in a small, isolated town, there was a legend about an old, twisted tree that stood at the heart of the local cemetery. They said that if you touched the tree at midnight, you'd hear whispers, whispers from the dead. No one dared go near the tree at night, except for a boy named Alex. He was new to town and didn't believe in ghost stories. His friends, eager to scare him, dared him to go to the cemetery and touch the tree at midnight. Confident, and maybe a little reckless, Alex accepted the challenge. That night, just before midnight, Alex made his way to the cemetery. A heavy fog hung in the air, and the moon barely peeked through the dark clouds, casting long, eerie shadows. The wind was cold, and the iron gate of the cemetery groaned as he pushed it open. The graves were silent, but the closer he got to the twisted tree, the more uneasy he felt. At exactly midnight, he reached the tree. It was ancient, its bark gnarled, and its branches twisted like claws against the sky. Alex stood there, his breath visible in the cold night air, his heart pounding. He reached out and placed his hand on the rough bark. For a moment, nothing happened. He smirked, thinking his friends had made up the story just to scare him. But then, suddenly, he heard it, a faint whisper. It was so soft that at first he thought it was just the wind. But then it grew louder, as if dozens of voices were speaking at once, all around him. His skin crawled as the whispers became clearer, calling his name. Alex! Alex! Panic gripped him. He pulled his hand away, but the whispers didn't stop. In fact, they were getting louder. Alex backed away from the tree, but then his foot hit something hard. He looked down and saw an old gravestone, half buried in the dirt. His flashlight flickered as he wiped the stone clean and saw his own name carved into it. Suddenly, the wind picked up, and the ground beneath him began to tremble. The whispers turned into screams, and from the base of the tree, a skeletal hand broke through the dirt, reaching for him. Frozen in terror, Alex watched as more hands clawed their way out of the ground, pulling themselves free. The dead were rising. With every ounce of strength, Alex turned and ran, his heart pounding in his chest. The cemetery seemed endless as he sprinted through the fog, the screams and whispers chasing him. He didn't stop until he burst through the cemetery gate, slamming it behind him. Breathless, he looked back. The whispers were gone. The cemetery was silent again. His friends laughed at him the next day, calling him a coward, but Alex knew better. He never went near the cemetery again. And every year, on the anniversary of that night, he could still hear the whispers calling his name.